As the only global philanthropy network dedicated to Indigenous peoples, International Funders for Indigenous Peoples works with our members to transform philanthropy, to bring philanthropy to a place where Indigenous worldviews and rights are respected. IFIP is also concerned about the ongoing gap that philanthropy when it comes to funding Indigenous peoples. IFIP is advocating for greater resources to go to Indigenous peoples' priorities and solutions.
It's an honor and a privilege to see the way that IFIP has grown and the special role that IFIP has bringing together Indigenous people and funders and the funding world and individual donors, and it's just a very unique place that we are so glad to be a part of.
For Native people, wealth is having clean water. Wealth is having your elders and your children together. Wealth is having our sacred plants and our native seeds in our hands that we can plant another generation. So it's time that the mainstream philanthropic community really think of wealth beyond those numbers and zeros in bank accounts and recognize the social capital and the cultural capital of our communities and the incredible wealth that we already have. And yet in this capitalistic system, we need money to do so many of the things we need to do, rebuilding our schools, our healthcare, our women's medical practices, midwifery.
I'm energized by Native young people, but also by non-Native people who see the value of Indigenous knowledge as being a means to solving some of the world's most complex problems. And that is important because Native-led philanthropy represents the idea that we live where we serve, that we are highly accountable because we know the social, cultural, political, and economic outlooks in our regions. So indeed, we live where we serve.
I came to Santa Fe to learn was how the indigenous communities of the world, and especially in the American Southwest where we would like to do some work, how they understand their own conception of what's in their best interest. This idea of supporting the advancement of self-determination for these communities has been an important organizing idea that I'm taking away from this event.
There was so much conversation and dialogue about Indigenous-led philanthropy, but also the power of women. Mainstream society, the power of women is not respected as it should. Obviously, women are rising up, and it's very clear here at IFIP. It's led by women, and Indigenous women are at the forefront of Indigenous-led philanthropy, and it just felt right.
So I've worked in philanthropy for 5 years, and I think the first place to start is by educating ourselves and beginning the process of decolonizing ourselves. And that's whether we're Indigenous or non-Indigenous. There's so much imposition of narratives and assumptions upon all of us, structures and systems that we may not even know to question or know how to question. So beginning with educating ourselves is the first step. To know our own contribution, in some cases our own complicity, to understand the history that precedes us, and then really fully appreciate the opportunity and the responsibility we have to begin the transformation, in this case in terms of philanthropy, to one that really seeks to emanate from and respect who Indigenous peoples are, our histories, our values, our cosmology.
One of my favorite moments here is that what I'm going to take away home is that collectiveness among us, ourselves as Indigenous women-led funders from non-Indigenous communities, coming together and trying to get collective solution and bringing synergies that we believe that they are going to support our cause, and for them also to sit down and listen to us and developing strategies we believe they are more viable to our cause is really an inspiring moment for me.
Well, my hope is for the future as a young person and for the next generations to come and my children. It's really ensuring that we have a good environment to live in, ensuring that we are a part of these discussions that are going to determine our way of life and our future. because we're very strong, independent people, but we're also in need and desperate for help. Build bridges between the next generation and this generation. But constantly what has remained the same is the pain and suffering within Indigenous people of stolen lands, stolen children, and missing and murdered Indigenous women. These are problems that have been going on for more than 500 years, and we as youth are pleading for help, but we are done asking for people to speak for us. We want us to speak for ourselves, and we want you as philanthropists, funders, to really stand behind us.
It is time for philanthropy to recognize Indigenous peoples as innovators, thought leaders, active contributors in philanthropy who are bringing solutions based on resiliency from the ground up.